Okay, we'll see today how we can work with file content. Yesterday we have just seen how we can create a sample process and how we can use the how we can get the current data. Okay, we'll just see how we can read and write a file. It's nothing but we can say copy operation. How we can read and write a file, and then we can see how we can work with file content. Okay, let's create a one folder here. Click on save. And then from inside this process I will be creating all my process. So let's create a process and then change the process should be stored created inside the software. Yes. Hello?
Yeah, now I'm able to hear the voice.
Sorry.
Yeah, now I'm able to see your screen.
Okay. Okay, can you please mute the
Yeah,
all of you? So if anyone has doubts, you can ask me and unmute it and you can ask me. Okay, let's create a file process name called file read and write. File read and file write. So most of the times we will disconnector in real time it will not be used it. I'll tell you why after we run this create this process and run it. I'll give you the information why we are not using the disconnector. So for reading and writing your files from the local system we always has to use the disconnector. So let's use the disconnector. Now I wanted to start my process. I wanted to start my process when my process got started, I wanted to read a file. So how we can read a file? So we can configure the start shape with connector. Let's go for the disk. Means the disk connector will be used for accessing the files, creating or reading a files in the local system. Just go for get. So in the start shape only you can see only inbound actions. You won't see any outbound actions in the start because start is meant only for content the inbound. And in your drag and drop the connector none other than the start shape you can able to see all the possible actions. Now I wanted to create so yeah the how the connectors is organized all the connector configuration is been available as in two reusable components. One is connection, other one is the operation. The connection basically if any system if any system you are connecting if, whatever the details configuration details required for connecting to that system all that will be available in the connection. And once you connect to the system what exactly you wanted to perform like is there any object you wanted to perform, that object information will be coming here. So to make it symmetric in each and every connector, you take any connector, the only thing is you will be have to do configuration, connection and operation. Depends upon the connection and operation action you selected, automatically the connection and operation wizard screens will be varying. Okay, now why the connection is given reusable is, let's say I have the Salesforce, I am working on the Salesforce. I am doing two actions in Salesforce. One is I am just reading the accounts information and then I am writing the account information. But both the cases I am connecting to the same Salesforce system. In that case, if the connection component is not reusable, if it's not available as a reusable component, then I need to create two connections. It means if any case, if it is as a Boomi like work on licensing based connections, yeah, if I'm connecting to the same system means ideally you have to only use only one connection so that the license will be charged only one connection. If you are connecting to the same system and you are using a two connections, it means you are paying a license for one extra connection license. So that's the reason wherever we have possibility you can reuse the connection and even operation also. So let's create a connection. If you already have a connections existing, you can just search this one, or else we can click on plus to create it. So for connecting to the local system, we don't require any other credential. That's the reason we just given some of the field. If I want to read a file, what is the details I need? I'll be reading what is the folder structure, what is the file name. So these two configurations have been given in the connection and operation. Okay, let's say I wanted to read a file here. Let's say I wanted to read this file, customer file. I wanted to read it. This is the directory. Just go to local. If you click save, only the wizard will be saved, and then the connection wizard will be still open. If you click on save and close, it will be saved and as well as close it. And each and every time when you if you wanted to do any modifications, click on this pencil button, edit, and each and every time when you click on save, revision will be maintaining. But since in the here is the trial account, and this trial account will not be uh, you cannot able to use the revisions. You can version control is disabled in the trial account. Okay, let's create the operation. Because this operation also will be filtered based on the action. Because when you are using action for send, then the same connection will be the options will be there, but it will be different will be there. So automatically the each and everything will be organized based on connections. Because based on the connector action, nothing but connector action specifies that the inbound or outbound. Depends on inbound and outbound, the operation configuration also will be changes. So it always specific to the connector action. Now what is the file filter I wanted to read it? I wanted to read it, the file filter. This is the file filter I want to read it. Go for full path and give this one. Let's see this one. And once if you are giving any pattern, the file filter is basically it accepts the wildcards. Let's say if I wanted to read all the customer files, all the file name that starts with the customer and ends with XML file, I can just use the customer. It means this expression will resolve, will matches the customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and whatever it is starts with the customer and ends with the XML extension, all files will be matched. And if this particular file filter is matching, multiple number of files in the same directory, then how many number of files you wanted to read it, that count is specifies. 0 nothing but will be unlimited. If this pattern matches for 100 files, all 100 files will be loaded. But you wanted to read only, maybe let's say 5 files only you wanted to read it, then you can just make this as a file, max file to read it. Once you read the file, do you want to delete this file? If you want, you can just check it. As soon as the file is read, and the file will be deleted. And whatever the wizards are saying, it will be same for FTP also. If you wanted to use the FTP, it will be same.
Vema, if I select that delete files or reading that option, if I select that one, where the files will be deleted in the Boomi database
No.
or
See, here we have configured directory, right? From this directory it will be deleted.
Oh.
Because we are reading file from here, right?
Okay, is it any storage space in the Boomi?
Yeah, no. It's my local system because I am going to use the local item.
Okay, now you are deleting let's suppose if I click on that option, that file will be deleted in your local system, but
Yes.
the same file will be available in the Boomi database.
No. There will be no Boomi. Boomi will not store anything.
Okay.
Boomi will not store anything. If you wanted to store it, maybe you can. You have to put some kind of a archive folder, or then maybe you can use some kind of a database to store all this information. By default, Boomi will
Okay.
not store anything.
Okay.
Okay, let me first this and let me show you how we can how this wizard will be FTP because it's given for the FTP. Okay, let me click on OK. So the configuration will be saved. I just wanted to show you that FTP also will be same. When do we go for FTP? FTP is a file transfer protocol. If you want to access any other system's data, any other, let's say I wanted to read a file from another system, then how that I'll be access another system. They'll be creating one folder. That folder will be created and that folder will be accessible through internet. And in order to access that FTP system, I need to have these details. What is the host name? What is the username and password for accessing that folder? Once I have folder, I can able to only the configuration will be different from the when you compare it to the disconnector. Disconnector you have only one directory here. Disconnection only have directory, but here in order to connect to the remote system, if I want to read a file from remote system, I need to provide the remote system details here, remote system login details. And then similarly, if you just go for operation, here also there will be nothing. What is the file filter and the remote? This is the same remote. This is the directory because here we did not stay in the disconnector. Already the directory information is available in the connection. So here in which directory you want to read a file and what is the file format you want to read, and even the same option max files to read. So this is a very similar to the disconnector. If you have an FTP connector, I think if you can enable in local system with the Windows local FTP, I'll show you this one. I will try tomorrow. If in local Windows 7, if we can enable the if we can enable Windows 7 local FTP server, then we can I'll show you. And if actually if it's working for any company laptop, right? In that laptop we actually have the domain will be gets created. In those laptops we can able to uh, create a local FTP server and we can test it over there. Okay. Now let's see whether actually this file is being properly reading or not. Click on test. Click on save. Let's say you can see that as soon as when the trial account comes, there will be one test cloud atom also will be there, and before initially it will be showing that enable Boomi test cloud atom. As soon as I have just used it the first time, it will be changed it to the Boomi test cloud. It is saying that enabling a test in Boomi test cloud, processes that require on-premise applications cannot be tested in cloud. Processes that require on-premise applications cannot be tested in the cloud. You can just see that it's automatically change the atom name. Now I wanted to run this atom. So this is the atom that I was just installed local. Okay, you can see that there is a one document is being processed. You can see the document count here. And if you configure the start shape with no data, here we have configured start shape with the connector. If you configure start shape with no data, it means whenever you are starting your process, you don't want to read any system. In that case, by default, process will be sending one empty document. So let's say I wanted to see the document, what exactly it has this document information. Go for connection data. You can see this is a directory from which this file has been read, and this is the size. You want to see the file content, click on this under view button. You can see the file content also. Okay, then let's stop the process and let's see a log how basically it will do it. Go for view log. how the sequence of steps is doing. Because first thing is we need to understand how the process is executing. You can see that it's loading the this connector with the connection operation. It's trying to read the files from this directory using the while called filter this one. Because whatever the file name that matches with this pattern only available only one file in this directory. That's the reason only one, and it is comparing customer.xml with this customer.xml equal to this pattern is applicable. If both are matches, then if this customer.xml is matches with the pattern customer star.xml here, because this is the wildcard. This wildcard will be whatever the file name that got matches, it will give the true. Yes, this file is matches the wildcard, it's given true. If you put any other files, right, then let's say I wanted to put another file, maybe let's say let's rerun the process and see this time. Click on here, even you can start and stop it. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, sorry. Even you can stop the process and start it once again, or else even you can use these options. Retry with previous paste. Retry with previous paste means whatever the document it initially read, if you have configured start shape with any document, the document will be stored in atom memory, atom directory. It will not connect to the system again and again. Let's say instead of you are using a local disconnected here, let's say you are connecting some Salesforce, and first time you have run, you connected to the Salesforce, and then you got some document, and then maybe you wanted to rerun the process. When you retry a process, this time it will not again connect to the Salesforce. It will not connect. It's just whatever the start state earlier has loaded, all the documents will be available in the atom memory, and then it will be loaded that files again. These files will be used, this data will be used for the running purpose. Now let's click on new test. I want to go for new test. If you see the log, this time also because we need only one file, because we have specified customer star dot, but here we have given item, so this is a pattern is not applicable. Let's see how many number of files it is verifying it. You can see that it is comparing customer.xml. Yes, this particular file got true. And if you see the another file name is comparing, this file got. It means it will be compared in the each and every file in the directory. In every file in the directory. If this particular pattern matches, and then the file will be considered for reading. So this is how we can read a file. Let's see how we can write a file. Again, for writing a file also, you have to use only the disconnector. But this time you are using the outbound functionality, you have to use the send. And then I wanted to write it to the same directory. I want to write to the same directory. So I am using reusing the connection. And then I don't have any connections, I don't have any operations for the outbound connector for the connector action send. So I am going to create it now. If you see here in the connection, we have already specified the In the connection, if you go close it, this is the connection we specified. In the connection, see, if you want to write a file, what is the information you need to specify? Which folder you wanted to write and what is the file name. So yes, folder information, yes, it's already there. And then if you see the operation, but there is no folder information here. Okay, let's run this process because I don't have any option to specify the file name. While writing a file, I don't have an option to specify a file name either in the connector connection or connector operation. Just drag and drop the stop and then run this process. It means what it will do, whatever the document it was coming, the same document will be reaching here. So with that document, the connector functionality will be executed. What is the connector functionality? Connector functionality is to the send functionality. Send means it will write the file. So how it will take the file name because we did not given in which file format the file should be generated. Not given that option. Let's see how it will be generated. Okay. Since the outbound connector should be the last activity, you will not continue the execution further after outbound activity because outbound connectors is always will be the end action will be in any integration process. If you wanted to do any further activities here, I'll show you how we can do that. Okay, if you see here, this is the document we have read in and only one document is available and the same document and you can see that same directly it write a file but this time it has taken a random file name with an extension called dat. It has taken random file name with an extension called dat. You can see the same file name is there. But this file also has the same data as customer. The thing is extension is different. Okay. While writing a file, how can I specify the file name? Let's see that option here. Stop the process. Whenever you are some of the outbound connector configuration, some of the outbound connector configuration will be specified using this step called set properties. When I say outbound configuration, in this case, the file name is not available in the connector configuration level. So I can set a file name using the set property here. Open the set property. And the set property basically it defines some of the property names. When I say property names in other integration or other programming language, it means variables. It can define a local or process variables that is inside your process are applicable and in that processes you can set and you can retrieve get and you can do a set get. You can store a value and then you can retrieve a value. So for storing values and retrieving values you can use this set property shape. So even you can use the set property shape for creating user defined variables also. Even we have a predefined variables. Let's go here, click on add property. Now I wanted to use the predefined property because for the this connector I do have a file name. I can select the file name and for this file name I wanted to write a file in some other format. Let's say cust underscore. I wanted to write cust underscore and then date I wanted to keep it date. If you wanted to keep it date, click on once again, go for drop down, select the date time, select the current date time and the date type and then put this is the date. After this I wanted to add an XML file. It means for one property if you are adding multiple steps here it will be uh, simply do the concatenation of operation. It means the file name will be generated cust underscore mmdd will this will be runtime value will be today's date year and month no this many number of characters and then extension this XML file will be there. Let's finish this. Let's run this process this time. So we using the set property, we have set a file name now, because without set property what happens, if you are trying to write a file, it will take the default some random file name with an extension called dat. So that is the one I don't want to generate a random file name. I wanted to generate a specific file name. That can be done with set property. So let's see the set property what it is doing. We have given a three positions. First position is hard coded value. And the second position is the current date. In this mask, you can see the current date is printed, and the last one is XML. And just go for here. When I'm selecting here, the execution details of specific to this particular shape will be showing here. When I selected here, execution details of specific to this particular start shape will be showing like this. So I wanted to see the execution details for this one. So go for logs. Now what it is doing, it is setting a file parameters, taking a dynamic data into an account. Means using the set property, you are setting the file name dynamically. So what is the dynamic file name? This is the dynamic file name. First underscore timestamp, the date, and then XML. And using this, this is the XML file, attempting to write a file into this directory. So instead of taking a default, and if you want to see exactly what is the actual data is coming as input for this connector, go for shape source data. Click on source. What is the data we are coming? What is the data it's coming for the start shape? It is an XML file. It means whatever the XML file we have read in the start shape, same will be flowing here also. It means here the basically until unless you store this data in a variables, the document will not be stored anywhere. So there are certain steps, certain shapes. It will alter the current data. I'll show you those things later. So if you see here, since we are set property will not alter the current data, will not change any current flowing data. Even you can just click on set property, you can see the shape source data. Another integration technology, each and every shape is internally stores its data in the specific variable. But here the variables, each and every shape don't create any variable for storing the data. For its storing execution runtime data, you have to identify. This is the different from other integration tool. Here we are not at all storing anything. The document will be flowing. We have document is available here, one document. The same document is flowing through this shape also. On this document, if you wanted to perform any other things, what is the action I perform on this flowing document? I just define some variables here. And then on the whatever the document, because I did not alter any data, the same data is reached here. And here the connector will be, functionality will be writing a file with the same data. It took the file name that we set here and then generates a file. Let's see, go and see here. This is the file name got generated. Same file. This is the way how we can read and write a file in Boomi. Okay, this connector got executed successfully. Let's try to run the same process with Cloud Atom. What happens? Let's see that. I told you why this connector will not be used mostly. The reason is when I am using my local atom, whatever the connection specified the directory information is available here. Because when you run this process with an atom, local atom, the local atom is already installed on my system, Boomi local. It means my atom is running on my laptop. So if I run this process using that using this atom, local atom, it automatically able to resolve this directory information. Whatever the directory we are looking, we are configured in the connector to read a files, this directory information will be able to resolve. But this time we are running this process using the cloud atom. It means the cloud atom will be installed somewhere else, and it will, when you're running this process with the cloud atom, and this process will try to search this particular directory on the host where cloud atom is installed. So this is the particular directory will not be available here. So that is the reason when I am using, if I want to read a file, we have to use the atom on which the host, the same host, the atom should be installed. Let's say if since in our case I want to read a file from my own laptop, I just I install an atom and local atom in my laptop and just read it. But if I wanted to access the file remotely, then I should access through either FTP or SFTP. These are the file transfer protocol, secure file transfer protocol. So these are the different ways of accessing. And most of the time, we will not be having the whatever the data we required will not be having in our local system. There either will be any application or it will be any remote system. So that's the reason we are not use the local the disk connector most of the times. Instead, the same way how whatever we done it in FTP connector also will be similar. So you can even it will be helpful for configuring the FTP connector as well. Only the difference is in the connection you need to write the details, host name, username and password. That's the only difference. Okay, we have seen this how to read and how to write a file, and let's see how we can do kind of advancing. Here I wanted to what the set property here doing. Set property is provide some kind of a outbound configuration for the outbound connectors. But even if you double click on set property, when you click on add property and you expand the disk, you can see there are the two properties are available. One is file name, other one is a directory. It means the directory information already we have specified the directory information as part of connection here. If I specify directory information again in set property, it means that whatever the value is specified in the connection, that will be overwrite with the set property value. Let's see that. I wanted to write a file into a different directory. Okay, I'm going for set property. I'm again adding a new property called disk underscore under disk directory. This time I'm just giving the directory name as 1. Click on OK. Let's try to run with this local atom. Let's see which is the directory information it will take it. This process will generate an error because we have not, the directory information is not available. Okay, you can see that, see, directory does not exist. But if you observe it, this is the directory information we specified in set property. It means that if you provide a set configuration and set property, if the same configuration is available in the connector level, that connector information, connector configuration will be overwritten. Unless why it is not able to, can't be able to create a directory information on the runtime? Yes. For that purpose, we have to go for outbound connector operation. Then we have to enable this option. Create directory if it does not exist. Click on save and close and then run your process. This time you have given the permission to write a file or write a folder, create a folder, and if this folder is not available, it will create it and inside the directory the file will be generated. See here, you can see there is a directory just now is created 744 and you can see inside that the file will be. But if you see the file information, file name information is a static file only. You can see static file only. Let's say I'm reading some file. Inside the file, I wanted to write my file name with a customer ID. customer ID. It means whatever the content, file content, I have to manipulate the file content. For manipulating the file content, basically we need to create a profiles. We need to create a profile. That we'll see tomorrow how we can create a profiles, because this is a depends on your data. If your data is XML type, you need to create an XML profile. If your data is plot file profile, you need to create a plot file profile. Let's say plot file CSV file, comma separated values. So it depends on the file content, you need to create different profiles. Okay, now we have seen how to override the configuration, for the outbound connectors using the set property. Can't we do the same thing for inbound connectors? Yes, we can do the same thing for inbound connectors also. For the inbound connectors, you can use a parameters tab. In the parameters tab, if you specify the file name and directory information, the file name and the directory information that is specified here will be processed here, will be overwrite. Whatever is specified in the connection, whatever is specified in the operation, all the file and directory information will be overwritten by the parameters tab on the connector. This parameters tab will be available for each and every connector. Depends on each connector type, automatically the parameters will be organized. Click on parameters tab, plus click on the input and select. You can see for the disk connector, two options are there. Now let's see that if you configure to, I don't want to change the directory, I wanted to change the file filter. This time what I am doing it, I wanted to, okay, let me put this into one file. Okay, whatever. I wanted to read star dot star. Let's say I want to read star dot star. This is the one. Star dot XML file. Let's say this is better. XML file. It means I wanted to read all files that have an extension of XML. You can see 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 files will be processed now. But if you see in the parameters tab, I have given a different file filter, and in the connection operation I have given different file filter. You can see which is the one it's taking priority. Click on run, on test, and then run the process. Select run test. Go for view log. You can see that it is reading the parameter, the position star.xml, and is loading the disconnector and connection settings. And you can see that reading the files from this directory using a file called filter star.xml. It means this is a file called star.xml be specified in the connector parameters tab. It means for the inbound connectors, if you wanted to override any one of the configurations, connector configuration, using the parameters tab, we can override it. Similarly, for outbound connectors, we can do with the set property. Okay, let's see that this is an extension of DAT. This extension of DAT is not extension of matching with the star.xml. It's not. Then you can see customer.xml is valid. Then this also for valid. And then this is the directory information. The directory information is not valid. So then again it is taking your 2 files, and this is also one more thing. Totally it is trying to read 3 files. 3 files got matched here. You can see that reading file, reading file, reading file, and the same information even you can see here. One file, just select the document, go for connection detail. This is the file it is reading. Next, go for it here. Select this document, and you can see what is the content. But while writing, because the 3 documents are reaching a start shape, and the same 3 documents will be parallelly flow, and means you are writing the 3 files. If you observe the one more behavior, what is the file name I given here? I given the file name only first underscore and then dd mmyy and then xml. But if you see here, what is the file name it took? This is the dd, this is the this is the yy. It took one is, after that one is, and for the next document it took two. For next document it took three. Why it took like this unique character? Because as part of a connector configuration, we have specified it if outbound connectors, the same file already exists. Create unique name if file exists. Since with the same file name, already file is exist in the same directory. That is the reason it created a different file names. This is a directory we are working. Since this directory already have the same file name, it is just giving an unique file name. While generating, it is just giving unique file name. First case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this, it will keep on giving the unique file names. These are the, not only these same options even applicable for FTP and SFTP connectors. If the parameters is applicable for any connector, the parameters tab on the input on the inbound connector, this parameters tab is generic. The parameters tab will be available for all. Only thing, if you are using a set property for outbound configuration and you are using this set property to set a file name for FTP, you have to set this one file name under FTP. You should not set a file name under disk because these are the predefined properties. If you set this, automatically disk connector will understand and read set a file name. And if you are working with SFTP connector, you just have to select the file name. Depends on the connector you are using and you can do the configuration using the set property accordingly. I think now we have seen how to read and write a file, how we can override the configurations for the outbound and inbound connectors, and even we can delete these files also. Let's see the delete functionality also. As soon as I read a file, I want to delete all the files. Just run it this. If I want to run the same process on any one of your any one of your atom also, I can run it. If you configure one account can configure multiple atoms. If your atom is running, means this atom will be available for under run the test. I can select that atom. I can click on OK so that my process will be running on your atom. That can be done. Let's see. This is actually reading a file from here. You can see whatever the file filter is applied, I mean whatever the files it has been available for reading, all the files is deleted from here. And again the same file names are already available, just keep on increase the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like this. When if you don't want, and this time when you run the once again, right, because this time files are not available, the file matching file pattern is not available, so it will just stop right away. Tomorrow we'll see how we can work with the file content. If you have any doubts, you can then otherwise we can connect tomorrow.
So
Yes.
that operations option is we have to use it only in inbound or outbound also we can use.
See, depends upon the action you selected here. It means action get is nothing but it's inbound. Okay, in that case, when you create a profile, when you create an operation, when you click on plus also, it automatically create a profile. It create an operation specific to your inbound connector only. Depends upon the connector, it automatically let's say. Okay, let's delete it.
Go to the parameters option.
Okay, yes,
Parameters.
yes.
Yeah, this one.
So this is available, but depends on connector you selected automatically. These parameters may vary. If you are using, if you are opening this parameter value window from the FTP connector, this might be different. To open from another web service connector, it might be different. So this parameter tab also will be arranged depends upon the connector you configure. Next
Okay.
thing is,
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
now you are done this configuration. After that, you click on that delete directory something. So that file is deleted in your local system, and you are executed the. Let's suppose you are connected from one system to another system outbound. 100 files, you are trying to move the files from one server to another server. So
Okay.
let's suppose 99 files are moved. One file is missed, but you
Okay.
already selected the delete the files. That
Okay.
entire files are deleted in your inbound system. Okay. Then where that 100 that 99 files are moved into uh, outbound system, that only one file is missed. So how do we retrieve that file? Because that file is already deleted, right?
Yes, yes, that's a good question. Actually,
So
whenever
how do we retrieve that file?
whenever
Because
you
that file
enable
is
the
not available in inbound and outbound also.
yes, yes. So whenever you enable that delete functionality, you have to make sure before you processing the file, you have to create a backup of or archive of file. This is only in options of any one of your process is not able to move the file to target server, then you can take the file from the backup server. The way
Can
self
you
backup in the
repeat?
sense, yes. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that if you want to do backup in nothing but you are using your maybe you can write it to the same file in a different directory. So you can just
Okay.
use you can use a disconnector with a send action and you can configure it. Let's see the same thing. am let's say you are reading a file and you maybe wanted to send it to some FTP server. Okay, FTP server. Before sending an FTP server, you wanted to make sure your file should be archived. Yes, you can consider this. This is a process. This connector is archiving, and maybe you can use the FTP connector here. This connector will be used for moving the file to target server. If any one of this, if this particular FTP connector is success for 99 times and one time it got failure, yes, I can go ahead and take the file name from this backup server. I can put it back again in the same server, the same folder, so that it will be available for inbound connector again when you run for next time.
But Boomi, there is no storage space, right? So how that files will be stored here?
No, no, this is the local system. Again, your inbound, your
Okay.
source server. Because you already have the
Okay.
backup file, right? Backup file
Yeah.
mostly will be done on the same server, maybe in a different directory. So you just have to move the actual the backup from the backup directory to the actual directory, and you can. So this file will be available for next one without any backup.
Okay.
Creating a archive file or any backup file, you should not enable that delete option.
Oh, thank you.
And one thing you need to observe here is when you are creating an operation here from the connector wizard. Okay, let's see plus connector action cannot be editable. It means because it automatically takes the connector action from the connector, because we already initiated this creation of a disk operation from the connector wizard. So whatever you set in the connector, it automatically takes the same thing here. But the same thing if you are trying to create an operation here, connector operation, and then select the disk here. This time you have the option whether you wanted to use this operation for the inbound or outbound, because you did not specify it. That depends on you selected here. You can use it there, the connector level. How you can configure
In the
the
file map, in the
uh-huh.
file called, click on that drop down file called. Okay. Regular
So these
expression.
are the two types
And
of
what is
matching character: wildcard and regular expression. Rejects nothing but this kind of some expression. It's you can just Google it. What are sample regular expressions? It's available in Java. Rejects expressions, we can call it as simply. So any other questions?
okay?
If any other no other question, then I'll finish the session.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.